All right, guys, welcome to our podcast. I got a special guest here. This guy is, since we met over at the PBD Vault, he's just been an incredible individual. Not only were we the best dressed, this is why we got into a good conversation, but this guy's very intelligent. He's got a PhD in software development. The value that you guys are going to be getting on this podcast is going to be huge. So make sure you have your paper, make sure you have a pen, take some good notes. You're going to understand a few things that maybe you didn't know before, and you're going to get that value on this podcast. So guys, welcome Rob Stadnick over here from LaunchPoint. Rob, thank you for coming in to the podcast, my brother.
Thanks, man. Thank you for having me. Appreciate it.
So I think we should just start off on how we met, and then we can start picking his brain on specific things that allowed him to become successful and how he was able to help, or how he's able to help lots of people in his space. So Rob, how did we meet, man?
Well, we attended the PBD Vault the Vault conference, and we had the CEO event at the end, which was a theme party, and yeah, we definitely we were actually matching pretty much,
which was pretty crazy. We're the only two people that
we'll probably put the picture up.
Yeah. I'll probably put the picture up too, because I thought that was really cool. We were the only ones that were actually looking that way, which I thought we looked pretty great. So
yeah.
That's freaking awesome. So me and Rob, we got into a quick conversation. It was just a relationship at first. We didn't know how we kind of fit into each other. But as we started exploring and talking a little bit more, he came down to an event. He kind of told me a little bit more about what he's working on and his skill set, which is a skill set that very few people actually acquire. And Rob, let's just kind of start off. Like, how did you get into software development? How did you start digging into tech, and kind of take us back there so the viewers can understand how you were able to compile all this knowledge and how you're able to help people today. But let's start from how you got started.
Yeah, I mean, when I go all the way back, I remember we got a gateway computer in like really early ages of like computers, personal computing just coming out, and it came in pieces and you had to put it together. I remember my dad spent all weekend trying to put it together, and I did it in like an hour. Like, it's just something that really came naturally to me. Like, as soon as I was able to, I was like, getting music off the internet and helping friends with stuff like that. When I was 14, I got my first day in high school. I knew I was going to join the Marine Corps. It's all I wanted to do. And the only way I could go was to graduate. And so I took all the classes that were easiest for me, took a bunch of technology classes, ended up getting a scholarship, but I still turned it down. I joined the Marine Corps when I was 17. When I got out of the military, I jumped right back into the fitness industry, and at the time there was no technology available. And so I just started taking as much, like, I bought books, I was doing everything, and I was trying to build software to solve my own problems because there's nothing out there. And that, like, one thing led to another after that. I'm still doing that 15 years later.
All right, guys, sorry for interrupting the video. Here with my boy Rob here. Guys, in this video, we're talking about a lot of high-level things that maybe you weren't aware about. Rob here is going to be hosting workshops. And Rob, tell them a little bit more about some of the things that you're going to be covering, because I know a lot of people in here that don't understand about software and tech. They might be a little lost, maybe a little confused. Maybe they didn't even know that the tech that they currently have right now is creating a lot of leaks and opportunities, and they're losing a lot of money and a lot of time. But what's some of the workshops that you're going to be putting out this year?
Yeah, so LaunchPoint's going to be putting on workshops year-round. The next workshops coming up are going to be on ManyChat, using analytics on your website and going over the fundamentals that every business is missing. If you want to learn how to do some of that in your business, if you want people in your business to learn how to scale up your website and use some of these tools to create more automations and free up more time for your team, join us in our workshops. You can text the number 208-567-9374. Follow us on Instagram, LaunchPoint Dev, or follow me, Rob Stadnick. Either of those places will get you the information, and you can learn how to do that in your business.
And guys, you use my favorite four-letter F word, F-R-E-E. Free. Get the knowledge you need. Start building a big company. It's 2025. It's time to move. It's stop being a spectator and start being a participator. And let's get in the game. Let's go. Let's get back to the video. That's incredible, man. So kind of talk to us a little bit more, like, as far as your background, like, what type of training, what type of things were you starting to, like, okay, this is something I'm really good at? Like, you started finding out when you were a little bit younger, when you were a kid, like, okay, I have a knack of picking things up faster than a lot of people. when did you feel like this was the path for you? And kind of tell us the climb from when you started in school, whether it was high school, college. What are some of the things that you actually started studying? What degrees did you get? And what actually started turning your focus into like, this is something that I can help a lot of people with, right?
What ended up, I've ended up in the entrepreneurship space. I started my first business when I was 23, and I was using my GI Bill. I was going to school for business, and at the same time, I was just, I was learning about efficiencies. I was seeing like Facebook was IPOing. All these like technologies were starting to emerge in this way that would help solve problems, but it was really lagging in this industry. And so that's where I like went, and I decided like I didn't really have any choices, so I kind of had to do it. And so what's made it really useful is I had to build it with a shoestring budget, and I also built it having to have it work. A lot of times when people are studying or learning software, you're going to school and you're doing all these fake projects where it's like, I'm going to build a library app or like something like this, and there's no real cost of failure. And so I think that's been the greatest lesson for me is like in practice, everything that I've done has had a consequence that was significant. And it really forced me to compress my learning down a ton because I had something I was striving for. Like I had a reason and a timeline to complete something. It wasn't just like, hopefully I get this degree and I get a job. It was like, well, I would like to eat tomorrow. And so everything I would do would lead to that. And as soon as I kind of like dipped my toe in, I instantly became obsessed because I really like puzzles. I like solving problems. And when you're writing software, you're essentially just trying to solve one big puzzle. And you have all these tools in your toolbox, and you got to figure out how to put it together. And the reward of seeing that work and seeing something that you've just spent like 3 or 4 months pouring yourself into, like come to life, it's addicting. It's obsessive. And like as soon as I stepped on the gas in the industry, I really kept going. I started like broaching into like AI subjects and like really early on too. And that's actually how I got one of my first jobs was I was auditing classes at Stanford University, CS 229, a couple other online courses, studying lots of like math and algebra. I ended up using my network to get a job for an insurance company. They had tons of data and a huge use case for it. And I had the privilege of working on that for 4 years. We took them from doing, 7 figures into 8 and almost even broaching 9 figures with what they were working on.
That's incredible. And tell me a little bit more on the learning part. I know you were telling me that, for a very long time, you even developed really some software. And how did you get into saying, okay, so let me ask you this. I'm sorry. When did you feel like this was your calling or your purpose that you're going to start really bridging the gap and actually like learning this and refining your skills in the software development space?
I think did
it happen when you were in the insurance company? Like, okay, I'm really good at this. I'm going to keep pursuing this.
Honestly, it kind of happened organically. I ended up with an opportunity to work at the insurance company, but at the time, like AI and blockchain stuff was really just emerging, and there's a lot of skepticism of it, and so I couldn't find a place to work on it. And the reason it came about is when I was running a gym, and I really got obsessed with developing a tool that would help us manage leads, and it was going to do lead ranking. And the idea was we wanted to know when we had someone come into the gym, where should we put our efforts into pursuing them? Like, are they someone that's in our demographic or that could come physically? Was it someone who was like referred? And what it'd do is it'd give you like an engagement score. And kind of what I didn't really realize was I had a 10 out of 10 effort on a 2 out of 10 opportunity. The gym space wasn't really providing for us. And so I kind of just shot a little bit bigger, and I took a job at an insurance company just working on websites. I wasn't even working on their software team or anything else. For about 18 months of my free time, I was going to school online, and I was building out a rating system that used 3 different AI models because they would give me access to the data and things to make a real project. And when I had this thing working, I approached the president of the company and said, hey, here's what I made. And when they could finally see it tangibly, like do something, they were like, yes, let's go all in on this. And it's just been an obsession of mine to like have these opportunities to get bigger and bigger and bigger problems to solve, and using software to solve it as like one of the mechanisms. It just, one, it came naturally to me, and two, I had a lot of fun doing it.
Okay. And then also, so in the insurance company, is that when you actually started learning how to develop code?
No, so I got that job learning to like code like websites. So they wanted to build a couple like portals and landing pages and stuff. But obviously, like, you know, I'd set my sights a lot further. After I had built the AI tool that would do their rating for them, they put me in charge of that side of the technology department, and I got to run it for 3 years. And so, you know, that's really where my skill set came in. As far as like getting addicted to it, like getting hooked on it, I started writing code for the gym to solve my own software problems then. And I just kept building and building and building. Eventually I ran out of problems in the gym space and had to go bigger. And insurance and finance are like the last two lagging technology sectors in general. And so going in there was like one of the hardest challenges you could do.
That's freaking incredible. I mean, just understand the bandwidth or the mindset or the things that you have to learn to actually start writing up code and creating things from scratch, from website development, software development, developing tech that doesn't exist, right? So I want to ask you this. How long have you been developing tech and software for?
I've been developing software for about 15 years now.
15 years. That's freaking incredible. Would you say that you've mastered it?
Never. You can't. The technology that you learned like 3 years ago is already getting outdated.
So would you say it's really important for people to be developing like every single 3-4 years that they want to be optimizing their technology if they want to stay ahead of the game, compress timeframes, have more time for themselves to work on the business and not work inside of the business?
Absolutely. So kind of just one of the things that we help businesses with now is navigating the arena of all these different technologies that are coming up that didn't exist before. The Instagram community probably remembers this. It was always like every single piece of content that went out was like, hey, grab our link in bio. And then the link tree came, and then people were putting multiple links in. And then link tree went away because people couldn't follow that many call to actions. And so then it was back to one. And then there's new technologies emerging that are actually automating social media responses, DMs, and sending out notifications with the information automatically if someone requests it, rather than like, hey, our link's in bio, and you do that on a reel, like they go to your bio, they click the link, you're like 5 or 6 clicks away. It doesn't seem like a big deal, but the attention span of users, like we're talking reels and stuff, was like they're less than 30 seconds. So you want to be able to capture it quickly. And so now you're seeing tools like ManyChat come up where you can comment a keyword, like, you know, comment Elliot underneath. I think I've seen Andy Elliott use this a lot too. You comment workshop, or you comment the thing, and inside of your DMs you get a direct link to the thing you were looking for, as opposed to like just one link going to the website and finding it. You're able to curate a custom experience. That technology didn't exist not that long ago. And if you're still doing link in bio and doing things the old way, you're going to get left behind, because there's other companies out there that are going to outmarket you easily with a tool like that.
That's powerful. Okay, so you've been in the space for about 15 years. Let's talk a little bit more for the viewers so they can understand, and they're gonna also, you're gonna shed some light, maybe some current problems that they're currently experiencing or that they're currently doing, right? Or maybe not doing in their business, that they may feel like some leaks or some opportunities that they could be gaining. What are some of the things that you specialize in? Some things that you've seen in prior businesses that you've been able to go in and optimize them to help them either increase more revenue, client retention, customer experience? Yeah. Kind of walk us through that.
Yeah, great question. So one of the things I've had the privilege to do in the last few years of helping so many businesses is I got to take a step back and really answer that question, right? Because a lot of times businesses, the way that technology is implemented is they're growing, and they have this need for this technology, and then they just grab like Dave, and then Dave's in charge of like, hey, we need to do email blasts. And so Dave just picks a tool and runs with it. And there's no cohesiveness between it all. And so what I've done is I've developed a framework that we call Scale that breaks the customer journey out into 5 different stages. And each of the 5 stages, kind of like taking a slice of your customer journey, allows you to kind of focus in on one piece and solve like one problem at a time. It's really easy because at the same time we want to build a stack that operates smoothly and seamlessly all together. You can't just like snap your fingers and fix everything. So the approach is starting at the beginning of the customer journey and identifying leaks and opportunities. Take a look at what tools you're using now, what tools are available on the market, and see if anything goes in there that can really help like increase your ceiling. And when you do that, you insert a tool like ManyChat, for example, that would, instead of doing link in bio, now your marketing team gets rid of that, and every video they're closing it out with like, comment this word below and, we'll send you our offer, or we'll send you this thing. Now you use that to move on to the next phase. It's like, okay, well now they're getting the offer. How do we improve how that's collected? And so a lot of times it's enriching data, for example. And so it could be that when you get the offer, it asks the user for their email and then sends them the offer 3 or 4 times if they don't engage it right away. And so it goes through that whole customer journey, breaks it into those stages, identifies those leaks and opportunities by either replacing or inserting technology that's more communicative across the board. And, that's kind of the strategy, is build it all the way through, make sure it's set, increase the ceiling, go back through and identify it and keep growing.
All right, guys, sorry for interrupting the video. Here with my boy Rob here. Guys, in this video, we're talking about a lot of high-level things that maybe you weren't aware about. Rob here is going to be hosting workshops. And Rob, tell me a little bit more about some of the things that you're going to be covering, because I know a lot of people in here that don't understand about software and tech. They might be a little lost, maybe a little confused. Maybe they didn't even know that the tech that they currently have right now is creating a lot of leaks and opportunities, and they're losing a lot of money and a lot of time. But what's some of the workshops that you're going to be putting out this year?
Yeah, so LaunchPoint's going to be putting on workshops year-round. The next workshops coming up are going to be on ManyChat, using analytics on your website and going over the fundamentals that every business is missing. If you want to learn how to do some of that in your business, if you want people in your business to learn how to scale up your website and use some of these tools to create more automations and free up more time for your team, join us in our workshops. You can text the number 208-567-9374. Follow us on Instagram, LaunchPoint Dev, or follow me, Rob Stadnick. Either of those places will get you the information, and you can learn how to do that in your business.
And guys, to use my favorite 4-letter F word, F-R-E-E. Free. Get the knowledge you need. Start building a big company. It's 2025. It's time to move. It's stop being a spectator and start being a participator. And let's get in the game. Let's go. Let's get back to the video. And what do you feel are the most prominent or the biggest challenges that you've seen today inside of businesses that are stopping them from increasing their revenue?
That's a great question too. One of the other points that's probably worth noting here is we find that even Fortune 500 level companies on that customer journey framework don't have their fundamentals covered. There is a lot of low-hanging fruit for most businesses to start implementing today that aren't super difficult, that aren't super costly, that can really increase those channels and opportunities. One of those, for example, on the front end of the customer journey is actually tracking where your leads are coming from with UTM params on your website. A lot of times, you'll see they'll throw the same link to their website everywhere. And if you don't know where your traffic's coming from, you don't know where to invest in those things. So a really great case study here is we designed a website that had UTM tracking embedded through Google Analytics. Google Analytics is a free tool. You can download it and just drop the code onto your site today and it'll start tracking. But to really supercharge a good amount of it is you add to each URL a tag for where you're going to put that link. So if you do have, let's say you're going to use ManyChat and you're going to send out an offer, it would probably make sense that when they land on that offer page, that it knows they came from that ManyChat offer so you can see its effectiveness. And just that analytics and decision making on where to spend your time or do events, like another big one that we've seen as a case study generate a ton of revenue for people is when they go and invest in events. So we had a print shop that goes to events all the time. Which events are actually leading to the most customers converting, right? And you show up to the event and you think okay, well, I'll give them my email and my website and but that doesn't actually help you understand where those things are working for you and where they aren't, which ones you should invest in going back to and which ones you shouldn't. If you print out your offer with a QR code that's dedicated to that event, that has the tracking system in it. So when people scan it, you can actually see the end result of how much traffic you got, how many conversions you got from that. Now you know, like, hey, we're going to double down. We're going to get a bigger booth. We're going to sponsor this event. They've seen revenues go up 40% just from targeting the right events.
Guys, I want you to hear that, right? Like Rob is someone that knows how to give you an audit. So basically, how would you start off? Like if you were looking to help someone, what does that look like? Like someone reaches out to you, you give them a free audit, you take a look inside of all their technology, see what systems are not communicating with each other. And then from there, you're like, okay, well, then you create a custom. It's all custom, right? It's not something that they just buy a product and it just does this, because every business is different, right?
Yep. Every business is different, but a lot of business problems that they need to solve are the same. Where every single business needs some type of marketing effort. They've got to hear about you, whether you're heavy on socials or you do print materials. Like we do home services a lot, where they wrap their trucks. Well, people see your phone number on the side and it's written in a script they can't read. If you can put a QR code on there, because now you're talking about injecting technology into a pretty analog system, right? Printing out a wrap on your truck. If you print a QR code where they can scan it and you actually track like each truck or your truck and how many leads you get from that, you can see it's like, oh yeah, we need to, like if this wrap starts falling apart, I need to replace it because that's one of my primary drivers of revenue. And so we do custom fit every stack to each business. We start with fundamentals, making sure like your website is designed for conversion, can track those events, going through the customer journey, making sure that if you have an offer that it's available on your site. A lot of times, like a big mistake we see is whatever your offer is, it's on your CRM or you're using Calendly for booking, or you send someone away from your website to engage in your offer, you lose the ability to track its conversion. Most of the time. There's like some that kind of understand that, embed it, but most of the time you send someone away to your Calendly link or to like this booking link on your CRM, you want to embed those on your website, and that can really help with conversion. So we take a look at how all those things are flowing together and then identify, typically the way we do is we identify your top 3 biggest leaks and opportunities starting from the beginning of the customer journey. And once we've identified those, we'll shop the market for which tools are best for you and then kind of give you recommendations. And we do all this for free. We were a value first company, and so we want to show you like, hey, here's some next steps that you can do. And so we call it an action plan. You can kind of get a free action plan of, hey, here's steps A, B, and C of things I can do today. What we do is we're a done for you service. Whereas if you're just like, hey, I just want this thing to work. Can you make it work for me? And we come in and our team completely white gloves it for you. We have experts in almost every field. We're preferred partners with over 100 different software vendors. And there's not really anything that we can't touch or any industry that we can't provide value in.
And for the most part, for every business that you've been able to do this audit for, you're always able to find some leaks and opportunities that they're missing.
Every time, 100%.
Yeah, you see, guys, look, technology is changing. If you're not getting ahead of the game, it's 2025. We're in the age of technology. The way things are moving with AI, I mean, now they're creating robots. I mean, there's just AI is like really just it's taking over as far as the way we do things, making things a lot more efficient, streamlining our time, compressing times, giving us more time back. If you feel like you're in your business and you feel like, man, I'm just working too much and I want to streamline a few things, like Rob has, I mean, you can hear from him. The guy's very, very intelligent. He knows what he's talking about. He helps a lot of people. For any viewers that are listening, I would definitely reach out to this guy because he's going to give you a streamlined process, or at least give you a free audit so you can understand a little bit more and help you buy your time back, make some more money. Listen, if you're finishing the month and you got more month than you have money, well, maybe you need a tax solution, something that's going to streamline that so you can have more money than you do have months so you can enjoy some really cool things. So that's awesome, man. So as far as like just give me some testimonies or some examples of some people that you've helped and how you're able to help them make more money, or how you were able to help them compress more times, and what are some of the projects that you worked on prior in the past so some of the listeners can listen to on how you were able to help them achieve either more time, more money, more peace of mind, a bigger business. They were able to scale. I know you mentioned one company, the insurance company you worked for, before you really started getting deep into this, like four years into it, you helped them go from a 7-figure company to almost a 9-figure company. Is that something that's is expected, is something that really does happen a lot with the clients that you currently have now?
Yeah, well, we find we can find opportunities in every business. And a great case study that we really like is we have partners, a live print shop. They made this shirt. They do merch. They're the ones doing events. And one of the things we were able to really help them with is they have a CRM. And like most businesses, if you don't know, a CRM is like your core customer management system. It is where all of your customer data is. You go from using this system, they often augment tools like marketing and sales pipelines and stuff, but oftentimes they're not as good. Like when you have one tool that is good, that is trying to do everything, is typically not as good at those things. And one of the things they were really struggling with was the sales metrics. So it would have leads and quotes and do those things, but it's like, well, what's our conversion rate? How many leads are we getting? How many quotes go out there? And CRMs, especially like niche down CRMs for home services and other industries, they don't have a lot of extra cash to invest in all these reporting tools and all this other stuff. And so you kind of get operations from them, but you don't get a lot of the analytics and things that you want to drive. And so what we were able to do is insert a sales pipeline technology that seamlessly went from like in that workflow. So their team was able to integrate a new piece of technology, and it didn't actually increase their overhead, it decreased it, because now they're able to better distribute their leads, track and manage those, see what their conversion rates are, see what their deal values are, lifetime, over year, quarterly. They're able to do sales training and reviews and things like that their CRM didn't give them. But the last thing you want to do as a business owner is drop a new piece of technology in that takes up everybody's time. And so the way that we approach that is, well, how do we make it even more seamless than before, where we can take the leads on your website, put them into the sales CRM, sync it up with the core CRM that's helping them with operations, and make the whole workflow seamless. And now you can introduce a new piece of technology that gives you better leverage without actually costing everybody more, like we call it hidden costs, where it's time costs or other sunk costs that you get into by putting that technology in.
That's incredible. I mean, everything that he's saying right now, it's just super important. And, us here at the Elliott Group, we do a lot of coaching for companies. I specialize in mindset, identity, sales, leadership. I know how to build lethal sales teams. But then one thing that a lot of companies don't have is someone who's an expert in the tech, software development stage. And if you're looking to scale a company, if you want to make 7, 8, 9 figures a year and you want to streamline your process and make sure all your tech is communicating with each other, you need someone like Rob to really refine that process. Because if you don't, you're just going to be like every other company that's going to have a little bit of success, and then you're going to go through these periods where you're losing a lot of time, you have some big wins, some small wins, and then you're going on this roller coaster of a trajectory when you look at the data and you're not increasing and you're not growing.
Yeah. One of the, key things that we try to solve for and bring value in the market for is like, no business starts out thinking like, how can I run the shittiest business ever? Nobody wants to do that. But it's typically a byproduct of scaling up with your technologies and other things lagging. You start to lose control of the quality because you're bringing more and more people on, and they're having to learn all these like mundane processes, and you have SOPs everywhere, and people want to do a good job. Like your employees, especially if you have like really good culture building, want to do a good job, and they will help you out hustle some of those problems. But my approach is like, don't you owe it to them to help them like be able to do their jobs even better? Like what we really offer is the ability for your employees to have more time, because they're not messing with all these systems and they're not talking to each other, and you move this from here to there, or a customer has a problem and you skip this system. They can trust that the system's going to work, and they can focus on the relationship. And when you can focus on the relationship, scaling just becomes an organic byproduct of existing, of putting your best foot forward, being able to do a good job, deliver a good product. And if you combine, you have the operations that can run that, you are lethal. You are poised to scale. We call it raising the ceiling. Like your team works within a ceiling of your technology, whether you know it or not. And you solve this problem two ways. Either you find more people, which is ironically is more expensive, or you build the technology that increases the ceiling so the team that you have can do more operations. And the byproduct of that is more time. More
time, guys. That's all we want. On the last day of your life, if you lived a long life, you're always going to want to have more time with your family. And if you spend all this time working inside of the business, not on the business to actually grow it, because what he's talking about is creating processes where you can work more on the business, building relationships, company trainings, scaling your teams, because you have the technology and the software that's going to streamline everything to help you guys be able to focus on other things. And the thing is, if you're running all these different systems and all these different products and software, like Rob was mentioning, I mean, it's really going to take away from what your true purpose and your true, what you're called to do. And if you're looking to help more people, you would want to make sure that your company is built on a very strong foundation, on very strong fundamentals, on tech and software. And I know my channel is mainly on sales training, mindset, but I brought Rob here because I think this is just such an important need. And a lot of people that are watching this, if you're a business owner, entrepreneur, if you're a CEO or an executive and you run a company and you're noticing like, man, we're losing a lot of money here. Well, dude, I'm spending way too much time on this. Like, we should have something already custom built that can handle this. Rob is your guy, right? So Rob, I want you to tell the viewers again, where is it a good place where they can find more information about you, where they can reach out to you? What is your Instagram, LinkedIn? Where can they reach out to you?
Yeah, so if you guys want to get a free audit where we come in and do those, find those leaks and opportunities, you can go to our website, launchpoint.dev, and you can find us on LinkedIn, on Instagram. You can find me on Instagram at Rob Stadnick, and you can DM me. I will write back. You can send us a text message if you want to text me if you have any questions. Yeah,
just text the number below right here on the video. You can reach out to him. He'll give you some more information. And guys, look, he's looking to do a free audit. He's looking to do a free audit, and he's even looking to give you some additional value on some actionable steps so you can start taking action right now. So you can start. It's all about relational, right? And Rob here is looking to build as many relationships as he can, but he is a person that could definitely help. I wouldn't bring someone on here that I didn't feel like can provide you some solutions or offer you some help. And this is something that I talked to a lot of companies. They're struggling with this, and you don't have to struggle with it either because he can solve it. So thank you guys so much. Thank you, Rob. You're the freaking man. Thank you for hanging out with me and giving some value here today. Guys, thank you for tuning in, and see you on the next one.